I'm great. How are you guys doing?
How would you sum up kind of the first 3 days of practice?
It's good. A lot of fun. Yeah, absolutely. It's been a lot of fun. Just trying to take advantage of all the reps I get working with all the guys, and it's been a ton of fun just to be able to be back out there and have our full room back, man. It's been a ton of fun.
There's not a lot of reps to go around. I mean, how do you do anything on a side field? Do you do anything to sort of augment what you're getting in the actual practice?
Yeah, I mean, live reps. I mean, we got 4 guys, so it just kind of is what it is, and just try to do it the best I can to take advantage of every rep I get.
How did you link up with Jeff Christensen in the offseason? Did someone recommend him to you?
I had a friend, his name is Zeb Nolan, that I played with in college, and he had worked with Jeff, and we talked ball all the time. So we had talked about it, and I had talked to Jeff, and then we started working together, and that was it.
Things you focused on with Jeff?
I don't want to get into all the details, but I feel really good about what we've accomplished, and going to continue to work and continue to get better.
Along those lines, what did you gain from just being around Patrick Mahomes and maybe picking his brain? Anything that you kind of glommed onto?
Yeah, I mean, I think I talked about it during OTAs, but it's just awesome to be around a guy like that. Obviously, he's probably doing it at the highest level there is. Maybe, I don't want to say ever. I don't want to get into controversy, but he's playing at a very high level. Multiple Super Bowls, multiple big games. So just being able to pick his brain about everything, in season, off season, his schedule, how he sees the game, everything like that.
Was it just, did you do it in these last 40 days as well with him?
No, we didn't throw together.
Trey, after Brock got cleared the other day, what was the message from Coach Shanahan to you, and how did you kind of digest, how this might play out over the next?
No, we haven't had any conversations, so it's just find out, right before practice or whatever, what the rep count is going to be, and like I said, just take advantage of every rep. But super excited, obviously, for Brock that he's able to come back and practice. It's good to have our whole room.
Really well. Brandon and Debo look much improved this year.
Man.
What do you notice about their improvements? Where do you see them different from a year ago?
I mean, BA's catching everything. He's running great routes. He's getting to his landmarks. He's making plays, and he looks like, the BA that we all knew he could be these last few years and that he kind of turned into, I think, towards the end of the season last year. And Debo looks great, man. I mean, he really took care of his body. I know you guys have all talked about it and heard about it, but he took care of himself this offseason, locked in, and he looks, really one of the best I've ever seen.
When you have limited reps like you've had in the last couple of days, if you make a bad throw, does it stick with you more and do you kick yourself more?
Not really. I mean, especially on the field. Maybe after practice, going back and watching it. But on the field, I'm very much turn the page. I got to go on to the next play because once it starts to snowball, and you don't want to let it linger or anything like that, especially with, like you said. But just continue to take advantage, one rep at a time.
On Tuesday, Kyle told us that anytime Brock is out there in the field, it'll be the ones. How do you kind of read that? How do you kind of feel about where you are positioned? And
I honestly
is that
don't.
something that you're concerned with?
Yeah, no, I don't. I'm not thinking about it. I'm taking it one day at a time, one rep at a time, and like I said, just taking advantage of every rep and just continue to compete.
What's the vibe like in the quarterback room? It seems like on the field you guys have a real strong camaraderie with each other.
Yeah, we're all real good friends. I mean, we're all similar in age, pretty close. So it's just been really fun just to be able to work with those guys, bringing Brandon in, Sam new this year. But it's just a fun group of guys. It's off the field, outside of football. I mean, we're all pretty good friends, so it's fun to hang around with those guys.
Trey, this time last year you were declared the starter with the box position right now. You played less than 5 quarters. Your season ended. Obviously, a lot of things, ankle injury out of your control, or Brock did out of your control. But I don't know, how do you just kind of reconcile everything? Like, I'm not sure you did anything wrong, but you've gone from starter and declared starter to you're competing. You could be the number 3.
I mean, yeah, like I said, just taking one day at a time. I'm very present mind focused. Every rep, one rep at a time, one day at a time, one meeting at a time, whatever it is. I mean, I truly believe everything works out exactly how it's supposed to. So as long as I control what I can control, that's all I can worry about.
Are you more comfortable? Do you think you're a better player since you've been here?
Yeah, night and day. Yeah, all the ways. The game slowed down a lot. Just continue to get better, though.
Do you do any mindfulness work or anything like that?
Yeah, a lot of breathing, a lot of meditation, a lot of just present mind focus, and journaling, things like that, just to keep myself, keeping it one day at a time. And if I do that, it's not too hard to stay positive. I'm pretty blessed to be in this position to have this opportunity.
Trey, you talked a lot in the spring about the finger and how it kind of affected things mechanically and all that. How have you reached the point of where you know, kind of just able to repeat the mechanics that you want and you know, getting rid of whatever you had to do to kind of get by?
Yeah, just reps. I think this offseason is probably the most I've ever thrown maybe in my life with no arm pain, no anything like that. So definitely just reps, as many reps as I could possibly get this offseason, throwing as many days as I could. That's what I try to do, and just try to get better, you know, 1% every day.
Do you find it that you've reached the point of just muscle memory? Like, would you go back and watch, you know, tape of yourself throwing?
I don't really. It's more my feet, honestly, than anything from the last couple of years. But yeah, no, I don't find myself liking to watch the mechanics side of the last couple of years reps. I feel like I'm in a much better place now for sure.
You said no arm pain. Do you think that is mechanics related, that your mechanics are good now, that you're not having the soreness?
I think, yeah, with the volume I've been able to throw, I think it's more a mechanic thing than anything. Like I said, but the pass was the pass of just probably throwing too much.
What did you know about Sam Darnold before you became teammates, and what have you learned about him since?
We had met actually when I was coming out pre-draft, before the draft, because he does something with an agency tie. So we had met and been to dinner and hung out. And I know he's good friends with Josh and Kyle Allen as well. So we had met down in Orange County and hung out. So I knew he was a great dude. We had been around him, or I had been around him a few times. So didn't know a whole lot. Obviously, had seen him play and knew where he was drafted and everything like that. And knew he, you know, had been put in tough situations, you know, his career. So, but knew he was a great person. So I was super excited when Kyle told me that he was coming.
Hugo talked about you having more touches, and sometimes your fastballs were fast at times. But is that, like, would you agree with that? And I guess what was the evolution of, okay, this requires more touch, I don't need to, 5 to see that?
I think just reps, trust, everything I did this offseason, just being more comfortable, changing my ball path a little bit. But yeah, I think I'm in a lot better spot as far as just throwing and playing football and playing quarterback.
When you're running, Trey, like you scrambled out on one play today, is there any extra sense of appreciation for being able to do it, considering the injury you had to come off and rehab?
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't think – I'd be lying if I said I thought I'd feel as good as I do. Going back to OTAs and especially now, I thought I'd have, you know, at least a setback. But thankfully, you know, knock on wood, haven't had anything. So, yeah, definitely very, very thankful for that. Appreciate you guys.
Well, how do you look at the first 3 days of camp, and are you doing what you want to do at this point?
Yeah, you know, I think, you know, obviously there's some corrections to be made, and just got to continue to feel more and more comfortable every single day. But, you know, I think it's continuing to challenge myself, you know, just studying as much as I can before and after practice. But yeah, I feel like these past 3 days have been pretty good. Obviously they can be better, but doing everything I can to put myself in a good position during practice.
Generally speaking, when you go back and watch it, is the ball going where it should be? How's your decision-making, your thought process, how you're seeing things?
Yeah, you know, I'm happy with the decision making. Again, you know, the way that we talk about our reads in the QB room, it's very clean. So I feel like I'm happy with the decision making. I feel like a couple balls could have been better, you know, throughout these last 3 days. But yeah, you know, that's just the beginning of camp, and continue to, you know, iron it out and get better throughout the camp.
You're often going against the second-team defense. Steve Wilkes was, you know, talking about the depth of that unit yesterday and how good it is. Can you tell that you know, from the pressure or just the speed of it, that even the backups are pretty good out there?
Yeah, no doubt. I think, you know, the way that just the example that Fred and Dre set for the backers, and then, you know, obviously the front, no matter whether it's with the ones, the twos, or the threes, the offensive line and the defensive line continue to push each other every single day, and the tempo's been really good. The effort's been really good. You see it on tape. So I know those guys can't wait to get in pads here pretty soon. But, yeah, you know, between the ones, the twos, and the threes, you know, obviously, you know, it's tough sometimes to tell a difference.
You had a real nice ball to Ray down the sideline. How long does it take you before you feel like you've got a good feel for each one of your receivers and how they like to run their routes?
Yeah, it takes time. I think it's as much as you can. Obviously, it's tough with camp and all the reps and those guys running so much throughout the day during practice. But, whether it's a little bit before, obviously, in the locker room talking about routes, and then after practice getting as many routes as possible, but also being smart about staying off your feet, and for us keeping the reps limited with our arms, keeping our arms fresh. So, but yeah, I think it's just the continued dialogue that we have with the receivers and getting a feel with them that way.
So, was it just kind of a challenge for you to get used to this rotation with Trey on the last 2 days for the second team? Is that odd to get in a rhythm too?
No, I don't think so. I think, you kind of talk about it all the time, like sudden change. You never know when the defense is going to go out there during a game and force a turnover. And you just never know when your number is going to be called. So, it's been good, the way that the reps have been going. And again, it's about taking advantage of those reps, taking advantage of your opportunity when it comes.
You just kind of touched on that there, but Kyle on Tuesday said that anytime that Brock is out there on the field, he'll be running with the ones. As a guy who, with 55 career starts, how do you take that, and how do you approach this camp knowing that?
Yeah, I mean, Brock, I don't know exactly what it was, but, I don't think he lost a game last year. Went to the NFC Championship, and who knows what could have happened if, he didn't get hurt. So, I get it. And, again, like I'm here to get all the opportunities that I can and see what my role is for this team.
Do you never know when your number's going to be called? You guys don't know when you're getting reps?
No, I mean, we have a good feeling, before practice, how the rotation's going to go. Yeah.
When was the last time you were in this position, as a backup?
Last year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, last year. Obviously, we made the trade for Baker last year in Carolina. And, again, we battled it out during camp. Obviously, he won the job. And, just tried to, like I just said, try to take advantage of everything, every rep that I could, from that point forward once he got, before he got named the starter and after.
Of course, you did end up playing last year. What did you take from that experience and kind of doing it again that may help you when you're doing it?
Yeah, I think it's not really thinking about it too much, to be honest. I think it's, just getting in there when you get a chance to play well and just have a good understanding of what's going on, the play that's called, what the situation is, the down and distance. I mean, there's so many different factors that go into playing quarterback. You don't really, you don't have too much time to be thinking about, what reps you're getting or, for me, I'm not counting reps out there. I'm just, cliche, but trying to make them count.
What is it about being here that makes you feel like this situation can bring out the best in you?
Yeah, I think really good team, really good teammates. The coaching is really good, and obviously it's a, first-class organization.
Steve Wilks seems to have a really hands-on coaching style. Like, play will happen, he'll run right up to one of his cornerbacks and correct it.
Right.
What was he like as a head coach last year? Was he like that with offensive players as well?
He would have separate conversations with us, whether it was in between periods or maybe before or after practice. But, as a head coach, he was more focused on the entire operation. When he was a defensive coordinator early in the season, he was doing the same stuff you guys see at practice.
How have you changed as a person since 2018?
I don't know. I think that's a good question to ask people around me. I don't know. I feel like I've matured in different areas of my game. I feel like my game's gotten better throughout the years. So, I just got to continue to work and get better in every area that I can.
Sam, there's high expectations for this team this year. How's the camp feel different to you than what you experienced prior to coming here?
I think every team in the NFL is going to compete and compete really hard. I think, just the situation that most of the guys on this team, the leaders on this team have been in, being, you know, here in 2019, going to the Super Bowl, and last year being just short. There's a lot of experience on this team, and you know, they know what it takes to win, and you can see that not only in the way that they practice, but in the way that we all talk about football and what it takes not only on the field but off the field.
3 practices, all non-padded. As a quarterback, does it make, do you feel something different when the pads go on?
You hear a difference, you know, feel a difference. You know, obviously there's a little bit of a difference in terms of throwing. You know, got to get used to throwing with pads on a little bit. But, you know, you're not really getting touched at practice as a quarterback, or hopefully you're not getting touched as a quarterback during practice. So there's not a ton changes. So, yeah, not too much.
You touched on what Brock accomplished, you know, last year. A lot of people still don't understand exactly how he did it, given, you know, where he was picked and all that. But when you watch the film, what do you see in him? What special qualities does he possess?
Yeah, I think for Brock, it's, you know, just being here for the time that I have and the couple practices that I've seen, it's the poise. You know, for his going into his second year, and as a rookie last year, you can see it in the way that he plays and the way that he prepares. Kid's got poise, and you know, that's, you know, I don't know if you can coach that or teach that quality, and he's got it.
It appears that Brandon Ayuk is communicative in between team drill reps. You guys had a conversation after a ball yesterday. Him and Kyle talked a few times. Is he giving you feedback after the reps that you have together or not together? About maybe what could have been done differently?
Yeah, I think all the, you know, obviously BA, but all the receivers are doing a really good job communicating, you know, after practice or after a route. So, yeah, it's great whenever you can, you know, run a route, whether it's good or bad, continue to have that dialogue.
Thanks, Sam.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Man, I feel like a young guy again. No, I feel like a 12-year vet. These practices are tough, man, but obviously it's fun. It's fun being out here with the guys, man. They keep me young, man, and obviously it's no place I'd rather be. So, you know, grind, that's what training camp is about, man. Good start for us, man, offensively and defensively. So we're just getting things flying and going from there.
At the end of last season, did you have to kind of sit down with yourself and figure out if you wanted to keep playing?
Yeah, I think that's always when you get to this age, man, kids getting older. You're missing a lot of things. You know, life outside of football become a little more important. Have 3 kids now, so, you know, my kids getting older, man. My kids is more active in sports and stuff like that. It gets tough missing it, man, but I love the game of football so much. It kind of, you know, I sat down, man, it was a no-brainer. I still felt like I had something left in the tank, man, and obviously it was a no-brainer to be back here in San Francisco for sure.
What are the things that keep you coming back? What are the things you still want to accomplish in a long career?
A Super Bowl, man. You know, at this point, I think that being so close last year, obviously we know how that game ended. And we've heard about it all off season, obviously. But just being able to win a Super Bowl, and it's not often that you'll be able to play on teams like this. I mean, you look at offensively the guys that we have, defensively the guys that we have. You'd be foolish not to want to be a part of it, man. And they wanted me back, and it just was a no-brainer for me, man. And obviously it'll be no better story ending than winning the Super Bowl this year. I think that's everybody's expectation this year.
Even before you got here last year, they had come close a couple times and came up short. How much did you feel right away when you got here that this is a team that is really urgent to push through this?
Right. You know, just coming here, when I came, man, I was at home. I was a little league coach a little bit, man. I was training my son. So from the time I walked in the building, it just was a no-brainer that you could feel that energy here. And from day one, you just step on a practice field, you see, man, this is a championship football team. You know, obviously, can't say that I've played on a lot of championship football teams in my career, man, but I've had some success. You know, obviously in Jacksonville, we was a championship football team, man, and you know what it feels like being around long as I have. And from day one, it was a championship football team. Once we caught our groove, we was rolling, and we played championship football, man. Won 12 straight. Obviously, we couldn't close the deal, but that's why we're here now, man. New season, new opportunities.
It seems like defense is always a little bit ahead of the offense in the early part of training camp anyway, but it seems like maybe this year it's been a little bit more pronounced. You feel pretty good about the way you guys are covering pass plays and getting your hands on footballs?
Oh, absolutely. I think that, it's huge. The confidence that you see in these guys play with, obviously, man, some of these young guys, man, Demo, I don't think get talked about enough. From his stretch at the end of last season, man, the confidence that he's playing with now, maybe it's the number that he wearing, number 2. I don't know, man. He playing different, obviously, man. I've always respected his game, but, man, he's taking his game to another level. Guys like Womack. We got guys out there, obviously, we know what Mooney Ward is capable of doing, but young guys are stepping up and, in the secondary, and we've been able to be contested these plays. These are some good receivers we're going against. B.A., B.A. is a dog, man. Debo, obviously, we know. So for us to be able to be competitive with those guys, it's only going to help those guys get better, and they're competitive out there, man. You're going against those guys day in, day out. When the game comes, man, you're not going to see too many duos like B.A. and Debo week in and week out. But, man, you can't stress enough how good those guys, man, and the confidence. You got to be confident playing DB in the National Football League, and those guys are confident.
Do you? It's a younger room this year than last year.
Yeah.
Do you feel the need to be more of a vocal leader than you were when you first got here?
Absolutely. I think that, finding your role. Last year I came here, man, we had guys like JV, E-Man, Jimmy Ward, those guys, man. I just played my role. Obviously, man, let those guys do what they, you have guys like Jimmy who been here for a long time, was well respected, a captain. I didn't need to be that vocal leader because, man, it was covered. I just did my part, did my 1/11th, obviously. So, obviously, I don't try to do too much. That's just never been my game. But being a vocal leader for these young guys is huge for these guys, man, because when I was coming in, I think that leading by example is one thing, but obviously, man, you got to be able to tell these guys and coach these guys up. And that's my job. That's my job to coach these guys up, man, especially these young guys like Tig. Jair, he got to earn the name Tig, man. So, like Jair and those guys like that, coach them up, man, and things like that. So, hearing me be more vocal, man, is beneficial for those guys, man. Obviously, I know those guys look up to guys like myself and things like that, man. And it's just a blessing to be able to coach those guys up, and they give me their ear to listen, man. And obviously, they want to get better, and I'm here to help them get better.
Huff was telling us that he tends to be vocal and more animated on the field, but not so much off the field, but he needs to kind of step that up a little bit. Do you see that in him?
Man, obviously, I think that Huff is who he is, man. His energy is just so different. And Huff is young, man. You got to think some of our rookies is still older than Huff. So it's Huff having grasp, man. He's still a young kid, obviously. But you hear him on the field, obviously. I think that nobody knows the defense better than Huff except for Fred, maybe. So obviously, on the field, it just comes natural. He's that guy back there, man. You hear him sometimes more than Fred each and every play. Huff kind of gets everybody lined up, man. Smart guy from day one since last year. He's been kind of like that vocal guy on the field. His personality is a real laid-back guy outside of the building. That's just who he is. Some people come around, man, but eventually he will, man. But right now, he's a leader, man. Obviously, his play speak for itself, so he's a leader in himself, man. We understand that Huff is going to practice hard. Huff is going to play hard. He's one of the best safeties in the league, man, in my opinion. It's not many safeties that can do what he can do. It's not no safety, in my opinion, who could do what he can do, man. Huff is just, he's that guy. So, obviously, he continue to lead by example. And on the field, he is that vocal guy, and that's what matters right now. And obviously, everything else is going to come with it, for sure.
Steve Wilks told us yesterday that he showed you that play from the Miami game last year, the 75-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
What was the context of that? Was that before training camp, and was he trying to kind of show you guys that you're not invincible, that there were some plays last year that
just communication and things like that, how you got to communicate on plays like that. Lack of communication can lead to those type of plays. Hurt a couple of feelings in there, obviously. Every time that play come up, man, I try to go to the bathroom, you know what I'm saying? Go to the bathroom, I don't want to see it. But, obviously, it was just more of a communication kind of deal where it's like, hey, man, you got to communicate. If you can communicate out here, man, things like this can happen in the National Football League. Those guys are good football players just like we are, man. Just a lack of communication. Lack of communication can sometimes lead to explosive plays, and explosive plays can get you beat in this league. So, obviously, man, he wants guys to be more vocal and communicating back there, man, and things like that so you can avoid those type of mistakes.
Today, Warner, I think, began practice by screaming at McCaffrey and screaming at Kittle. And was that just another practice for him?
Yeah.
But have you had another teammate like that as far as his approach to practice?
Man, I would say Fred's energy and things like that, I haven't been around many guys like that in my life. And I've played a lot of football, man, a lot of football, man. And I haven't seen many guys with that type of energy day in and day out. Fred don't seem to have any low days. Truly, I can say, man, I played with some good football players, man. I think Fred is probably one of the best, if not the best football player I've ever played with, man. And that's saying a lot. Just the energy, the way he practiced, the way he approached the game. You see it from afar, man. I didn't really respect it. I knew he was a great player, man, but seeing it up close in person, man, you got to respect his greatness. So, that energy right there is contagious, man. Fred gets going, man. If Fred going, man, from play one, man, we rocking. That's our leader. That's our vocal leader. That's our emotional leader. So, obviously having a guy like that on the practice field, it's very beneficial, man. And it gets the juices going, man. Obviously, an old guy like me, I need that sometimes, man. Get me going a little bit.
All right, thanks,
I appreciate y'all.